Hey, darlings. A poor mother was holding her newborn baby in front of the maternity hospital with nowhere to go until someone in a luxury car stopped next to her and made her a proposal that left her stunned. Marta was with her newborn son Gael in her arms. In front of the maternity ward under the cloudy sky of an afternoon that promised rain. The last few weeks had been a whirlwind of emotions and challenges, from Gail's premature birth to the present moment in which she found herself alone with no home to return to and no family to care for. Around you that offer her support, the walls of the hospital that had offered her brief refuge now seemed distant as she took her first, uncertain steps in a world that seemed to have forgotten her and her son, while Marta sat on a worn bench at the entrance of the hospital. Motherhood held Gael carefully, wrapping him in a simple but warm blanket. What are we going to do now, my little one? Where are we going to go? I feel so ashamed that I can't give you a safe place to live. But I promise I'll fix it, she whispered. To Gael, whose closed eyes were the only sign of peace in the midst of the chaos that his life had become, his trembling voice revealed the fear and uncertainty he felt, a marked contrast to the calm that he tried to convey to his son. A black Carpulito, he stopped in front of Marta, interrupting her thoughts. The passenger door opened, and an elegant middle-aged woman came out. She approached Marta with a look that mixed curiosity and compassion. My name is Yolanda. I couldn't help but notice you and your son. Everything was fine. Yolanda's voice was soft, but it had a weight, an authority that made Marta raise her eyes and consider whether or not to trust that stranger. Marta hesitated before answering, measuring Yolanda's intentions. I don't know. She began with a heavy voice. With emotion, my son and I have nowhere to go. I lost my job because of the pregnancy. My rent is due, and now her voice wavered, unable to finish the sentence. The words dissolved into silent tears that began to flow down her face. Yolanda. He sat next to Marta, maintaining a respectful distance, listening. I know it sounds strange coming from a complete stranger, but I would like to help you. I have resources and I cannot ignore someone, much less a mother and her son. The offer was as unexpected as the appearance of Yolanda, throwing a spark of hope in Marta's heavy heart. Why would you help us? You don't even know us, Marta asked, distrust and hope fighting inside her. Don't see me as ungrateful. I'm just a woman who has been a lot deceived in life, and that taught me to distrust everything and everyone, added Marta. Yolanda observed Marta for a moment, her penetrating gaze trying to decipher the thoughts of the young mother in front of her. Finally she spoke, her voice firm and full of a sincerity that no one left room for doubt. Marta, I understand that trusting strangers is not easy, especially in a world that is often cruel and indifferent. But look, life has blessed me with more than necessary, and over the years I have learned that true wealth he finds in being able to make a difference in people's lives. My car is here and my house is big enough to give them privacy and comfort while you decide the next steps. Marta listened attentively to Yolanda's words, echoing in her mind, bringing a mixture of relief and distrust. For a long moment, he remained silent, looking at Gael, who was sleeping peacefully in his arms, oblivious to the worries of the world around him. Finally, he took a deep breath with a gesture of hope and looked at Yolanda. I don't know how to thank you. Honestly, I'm scared by the whole situation I'm going through. If you are being honest, then I accept your help, and I promise that I will do everything in my power to repay your kindness and ensure that we don't regret this decision. Yolanda smiled, a smile that somehow it eased the weight in Marta's heart. So it's decided. We'll take care of the practical details and make sure that you two are comfortable and safe, and don't worry about retribution. Seeing you both well is already more than enough for me. He stood up, extending his hand to help Marta do the same. A simple gesture that sealed an agreement, not only of help but of a new bond that was beginning to form between two strangers brought together by unexpected circumstances. As they headed to the car, Marta felt a mix of emotions. Uncertainty still floated in the air, but hope was beginning to take shape. She looked at Yolanda, trying to read between the lines of her gestures and words, looking for signs that she had made the right decision. Yolanda, I just want you to know that this means more to me than words can express. I was lost, and you appeared like a beacon of hope. I want to say that I will be eternally grateful for this gesture of kindness. Yolanda nodded her head, guiding Marta towards the car. Marta, I know that not everything in life is easy to handle. That's why I offer help whenever I can. You will meet my daughter. She is a good person, but she is still only a teenager. So it gives me work. Sometimes I promise that I will do everything possible so that you feel comfortable in my house for as long as you need until you can stabilize again. With the arrival of Marta and Gael at Yolanda's mansion, a new reality unfolded before them. The mansion, an imposing structure surrounded by meticulously maintained gardens, was a world. Apart from the small hospital room they had left behind, Yolanda guided Marta through the corridors adorned with works of art and period furniture, a look at the luxury and history of the Rivera family until they reached a set of rooms prepared for newcomers. Marta, this will be your space so that you feel at home and safe here. There are clothes in the closet, and I will prepare some things for Gael too. If you need anything, really let me know, explained Yolanda, opening the door to a spacious room. The details of the room seemed to have been designed for Gael, with great subtlety in a light tone of blue and a beautiful crib next to a bed. Marta felt deeply moved when she saw the scene. I don't know how to thank Yolanda for this. It's more than I could imagine for us. I just hope that in some way I can repay all this kindness, Marta responded, her voice choked with emotion and her eyes beginning to fill with tears. She held Gael closer as if wanting to protect him and at the same time introduce him to her. The new life that awaited them, as I already said, do not think about retribution, Marta. Helping them is a gift for me too. Now you rest, and Gael, they need to recover and adjust. We will have all the time in the world to get to know each other better. If you need me, I will be there. In the study here, said Yolanda, smiling warmly before retiring and leaving Marta alone with her thoughts and her son. Marta spent the next few hours getting to know the room and accommodating Gael, still in disbelief with the turn in his life, while Gael slept peacefully in a crib. Next to her bed, she allowed herself to relax for the first time in weeks, contemplating the future. Maybe, just maybe, everything is okay. This woman doesn't seem so strange after all, but it's not normal for someone with so many resources to look for people to helping. I'm worried about her daughter, but she can't be that bad, she thought, allowing herself a glimmer of optimism later that night as she explored the rest of the house to familiarize herself with her new surroundings. Marta found Yolanda in the library, a cozy room of old books and comfortable furniture. Yolanda looked up from her papers, motioning for Marta to join her. Sit down, Marta. I was waiting for you. I think it's time to talk about the future, how we can plan the next steps for you and Gael. During the conversation, Marta sat down. She realized how serious Yolanda was about helping her build a new life as they discussed the details of how they could move forward. Marta felt a mix of gratitude and responsibility. We will need to find a good school for Gael. Can help him develop well, suggested Yolanda, looking through some documents that seemed to contain information about local schools and programs for children. Marta was confused by Yolanda's hasty words. Ma'am, I thought we would be here alone until I could stabilize myself, but these plans seem to have been made with years in mind. Yolanda stopped for a moment and focused her gaze on Marta, explaining her comment cautiously. Oh, sure, but you know that you can count on me for whatever you need, and I have no problem helping you to plan a little ahead. It's never too early to think about our children's future, right? Said the woman. But Marta had not yet fully understood what those very early plans for us represented. Yolanda, excuse me, I'm a little tired. I think I'm going to get some sleep now, Marta announced. As soon as the day dawned, Yolanda invited Marta to a more formal breakfast with the purpose of officially introducing Marta and Gael to their daughter Sophia. It will be an excellent way to integrate them into the family, Marta. My daughter is eager to meet you. She has been a little sad since her father and I separated, Yolanda explained with a welcoming smile. During breakfast, the atmosphere was one of polite expectation. Marta held Gael in her lap while Sophia, a young woman of years, entered the room, her gaze too quick to be just one of curiosity. Sitting elegantly, She observed Marta and Gael for a moment before speaking. Then you are Marta. Mom Yolanda mentioned that we were lucky enough to welcome you, and your son must be a pretty significant change for you since you almost ended up on the street and now live in a big house like this. I'm curious about what brought you to us. His voice carried a tone that Marta couldn't decipher. Completely something between interest and evaluation. Marta took a deep breath before responding, choosing her words carefully. It was a series of unexpected events and the generosity of Mrs. Yolanda. We are very grateful for the welcome and for the opportunity to start a new life. She tried to maintain the firm voice, but Sophia's presence made her visibly nervous. A reaction that did not go unnoticed by the others. Yolanda intervened. Noticing the growing tension, Marta and Gael are our guests, and as such they deserve our respect and support. I am sure that you also agree with this, Sophia, and you will do your best to make our guests feel comfortable during their stay. Her gaze scanned the table, a silent reminder of the expectations of behavior within the family, even during the course of breakfast. After the first exchanges of pleasantries and the attempt to establish a more friendly atmosphere, the Rivera family's curiosity about Marta's story became the focus of the conversation. Yolanda perceived an opportunity for Marta to share her story on her own terms. Marta graciously encouraged her. If it's not too much to ask, we would like to know more about you, how you came to our city, and what challenges you have faced. We believe that better understanding your journey will help us to support you. And more significantly, Marta felt a mix of apprehension and gratitude for the opportunity to tell her story. She began to speak, initially unsure, but gained confidence as my life progressed before arriving here. It was marked by many difficulties. Gail's father abandoned us when he found out that she is pregnant. I refused to accept the offer of money to solve the problem, as he called it. Since then I had to fight alone. His voice trembled, but his determination to tell his story was obviously. Sophia, who until that moment was observing with an indecipherable expression, interrupted with a question that carried an unexpected weight. And about your family, Marta, they couldn't help you. It's very strange that a person is left to go through all this alone. The question is not like that. Although simple, it opened the way to a part of Marta's story that was rarely shared by my family. I have been an orphan since I was young. Life in the orphanage taught me to be independent, but it also showed me how difficult it is to trust the people we meet. In our path, when I became pregnant, I was alone, without friends, without family, without anyone. Marta explained, the painful memories reflected in her eyes. Yolanda, moved by Marta's honesty and vulnerability, she placed her hand on Marta's in a gesture of support. Your strength is admirable, Marta, and now you are no longer alone. We are your family now, or at least until they stabilize our reach to help you. And Gail, the conversation continued with Marta, sharing more about the injustices she faced from discrimination and the struggling to find a safe place to live during the pregnancy, where she had to pay a high rent until she lost her job. The Rivera family listened attentively, Yolanda reflecting on how she could contribute to improve the life of Marta and Gail. While Marta walked through the corridors of La Mansion trying to calm little Gail, a conversation emanated from Yolanda's office. The door, only partially closed, allowed each word to be heard from the other side. Although it was difficult for Sophia to understand the importance of reaching out to people who need it is essential for us. Our position gives us the duty, not only the opportunity, to make a difference in people's lives, Yolanda explained, patience weaving each pronounced syllable. Sophia's response came quickly, tinged with frustration and concern. But Mom, and what about the impact of these decisions on our own lives? Each person you bring changes our world, also like Marta and Gail, who are now part of our lives. And yes, there are things of their past that they carry with them that can affect us. We cannot trust anyone out there. The concern in his voice was palpable, almost visible in the charged air of the corridor. Sophia, that is not what I have taught you. We cannot accuse anyone of lies without evidence unless you have something that shows something bad about Marta and Gail. Our duty will be to support them unconditionally, Yolanda responded, her voice carrying a resonance that spoke of years of wisdom and facing uncomfortable truths. Marta, still on the lookout, felt Yolanda's words like a hug of security and acceptance. In the following days, Marta ruminated on her options. Each step through the mansion a reminder of the secret she carried. It was then in a moment of clarity while she was arranging the small things about Gael, who found a forgotten photo that seemed to be quite recent where a familiar man posed next to Yolanda's daughter, as if they were very intimate. "He is Gael's father, Guillermo. I can't believe he is dating Sofia," Marta whispered to herself, the photo trembling in her hands. The image of the man smiling back at her from the photograph showed a coincidence she could not foresee in the serenity of the garden where the afternoon shadows were beginning to lengthen. Marta found Sofia, who seemed submerged in her own thoughts. Her face conveyed doubts, and she hesitated for a moment, but the need to tell the truth was stronger than any fear. "Sofia, I need you to know something very important. It's about Gael and your boyfriend Guillermo." Marta began, the determination in her voice cutting the silence between them. Sofia looked up, a mixture of surprise and caution crossing her face. "What are you implying, Marta? What does Guillermo have to do with this?" asked a clear defense in her voice, ready to protect her relationship against what she considered a possible slander. Marta took a deep breath, knowing that the words that were about to come out could irrevocably change the fabric of their lives. "Guillermo is Gael's father." She veiled the sincerity in her voice, trying to break through the wall of mistrust that Sofia had erected. "I found this photo," Marta continued, spreading the photo that she had found, showing Guillermo in a way that left no room for doubt about Gael's paternity. Sofia took the photo with an almost mechanical gesture, her eyes analyzing every detail as if, "I will look for flaws in Marta's story. How did you get this photo, and why are you interfering in my life?" Sofia responded, lack of trust coloring her words, not ready to accept the truth without questioning every aspect of it. Marta, in the face of Sofia's disbelief, remained calm, understanding the difficulty of accepting such an abrupt and unexpected reality. "I know how this sounds, Sofia, and I would never have brought this to light if I wasn't worried about you. It wasn't a chance encounter. It was a part of my life that I thought I had left behind, until arriving here and discovering that the past and the present are more intertwined than I imagined," Marta explained, trying to express each word with the honesty and seriousness that the situation demanded. Sofia, still holding the photo, allowed herself to consider the possibility despite the pain that she felt. It was beginning to emerge with that acceptance. "I need time to process this." Finally, she said. The resistance in her voice began to give way to an unexpected vulnerability. "And if this is true, what do we do now?" Sofia asked, looking directly at him. Marta searching not only for answers, but also for a way forward in the face of a revelation that threatened to deconstruct the world as she knew it. Marta, with Gael still in her arms, she met Sofia's gaze with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "I do not expect anything beyond the opportunity to be honest with you and with everyone. As I already told you, when we met, the father of my son, who is now your boyfriend, Guillermo, was not a good person for me, and I don't think he would be good for you either." Marta responded to the firmness of his words, marking the beginning of an uncertain but necessary chapter in the story of their intertwined lives. The morning after Marta's shocking revelation, Sofia, still shocked by the conversation in the garden, had called her boyfriend, asking him to meet in the living room of La Mansion Rivera, a space where happy memories now seemed tinged with doubt. Guillermo, oblivious to the recent turbulence, exhibited the same confidence and charm that always characterized him. "Good morning, dear you. I look thoughtfully at some problem. You know that you can tell me anything that is tormenting you, as we always do." She began, approaching with a smile that under normal circumstances calmed Sofia's heart. Sofia, hesitating to confront Guillermo without further evidence, decided to probe the ground. "Guillermo, have you ever asked about the untold stories of the people who enter our lives, about secrets that can change everything?" he inquired, carefully observing their reaction. Guillermo, with a false smile, he sat next to her, taking her hand with a familiarity that now seemed strangely uncomfortable to Sofia. "My dear, why worry about untold stories? The present is what we have and the future is what we construct. Someone's past, especially people who are little more than strangers to us. No, they should be our burden, Guillermo responded, his soft voice trying to dispel Sophia's concerns. However, his words intended to comfort only served to increase her suspicions. I don't want to. That you waste your time with things you don't know about another person. The only thing that matters here is our relationship, and I don't want it to be affected by something that neither you nor I can control. The ease with which Guillermo evaded deep questions suddenly revealed itself not as charm but as a form of narcissism, a refusal to recognize anything that did not fit into the perfect image he had of himself and his life. Sophia now, more than ever, he felt the need to unravel the truth, not only for Marta y Gael, but also to understand who Guillermo really was, and if that unknown past had the power to affect our future. Guillermo, and if there was something about you that I should know, but for some reason you forgot to tell me. Sophia pressed her determination, hardening them. Our life together is an open book, declared Guillermo, trying to finish the conversation with her usual authority, but doubt had been sown and Sophia knew she couldn't just ignore it. The conversation with Marta had opened a crack in the perfect facade of Guillermo, revealing the possibility of an abyss of secrets behind his confident smile. Sophia withdrew her hand from his, standing up with a new resolve. Maybe it's time to read between the lines of that book, AB. Then, she said, her firm voice marking a definitive change in his Guillermo's attitude. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, tried to stop her, but Sophia walked away, determined to seek answers for herself. After the tense meeting with Guillermo, Sophia decided to seek the truth for herself, a decision that made her led directly to Yolanda's office. The morning was still fresh, a sign that the secrets of the previous night were still floating in the air, waiting to be discovered. Sophia knocked softly on the door, her mind full of questions that needed answers. Yolanda, sitting at her desk full of papers and memories of a life dedicated to family and business. He looked up, immediately noticing the seriousness on Sophia's face.
Sophia.
What happened? You seem worried, Yolanda asked, her voice full of concern. Motherly Sophia, taking a breath, closed the door behind her before sitting in front of Yolanda. Mom, it's about Guillermo. There is something about him, something that Marta told me, and I don't know what to do with that information. Sophia began hesitantly, but the urgency in her voice was undeniable. Yolanda, her expression becoming immediately alert, encouraged her to continue. Sophia then shared Marta's revelation, each word carrying the weight of a suspicion not only about Gail's paternity but also about the true nature of the man with who had planned to share her life. Yolanda listened attentively, her face reflecting the complexity of her emotions: surprise, concern, and a growing determination. Sophia, this is very serious. If what Marta says is true, we need to act carefully, but with determination. I will talk to Guillermo. We need to understand the extent of this, Yolanda said, her voice firm, but Sophia could see the concern in her eyes. It was clear that the implications of the situation went far beyond the family dynamic. They touched the essence of what it meant to be honest and responsible for one's own actions. Yolanda's determination to confront the situation gave Sophia the strength that Mom needed. I need to know the truth, no matter how difficult it is. I cannot simply ignore what Marta told me. Sophia stated her decision, reflecting a maturity forced by the Yolanda nodded, understanding the importance of facing the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. We will face this together, Sophia. The truth has to be the basis of our family, Yolanda always stated. A bond of solidarity was forming between mother and daughter. The afternoon was developing with palpable tension in the Ribera mansion, where a new planned confrontation with Guillermo was about to occur. Sophia and Yolanda, united by silent determination, waited in the living room for a space which had been the scene of countless family celebrations, now the scene of a decisive moment. Guillermo entered the room, his usually confident posture slightly shaken by the atmosphere. Loaded that Yolanda. Sophia received it. What is happening? Why this air of formality? Guillermo asked, trying to understand the reason for Yolanda's meeting with the matriarchal authority that always characterized her family leadership. Guillermo took the initiative. We need to talk about some serious accusations that have been brought to our attention. Accusations that, if true, have not only deeply impacted us, but also threaten the foundations of this family. Began, his voice loaded with a gravity that is rarely seen. Guillermo had witnessed. Upon realizing the seriousness of the matter, he sat down facing the two women in front of him. What are they talking about? What accusations are those? He asked, starting to become defensive in his words, with his narcissistic tone emerging in an attempt to divert the focus of the conversation. Sophia, then the strength of her resolution took the floor, clear in her voice. It's about Marta and Gael. Marta told us something that, if true, changes everything between us, Sophia said, directly looking into Guillermo's eyes, searching there for the truth that I needed to see. She alleges that you are Gael's father. Guillermo, look at me and tell me that that is not true. She continued, her request full of a mixture of hope and fear. Guillermo, confronted with the direct accusation, hesitated, his expression wavering between surprise and the guilt. The pause, it was enough to confirm Sophia and Yolanda's suspicions. How did this happen, Guillermo? How could you hide something so fundamental from all of us? Yolanda demanded. The disappointment in her voice was more painful than anger. Guillermo's confession came then, initially reluctant, but as the words began to flow, the truth came to light. He spoke about the brief relationship with Marta, a chapter of his life that he had chosen to forget, convinced that he could leave it behind without consequences. I didn't know about Gael. Marta never told me that she was pregnant. Guillermo tried to defend, his voice a mixture of regret and desperation to hold on to what little was left of his image before the family after the tense confession of Guillermo. The living room of the Rivera mansion was immersed in a silence, charged with each member of the family lost in their own thoughts and tumultuous emotions. It was at that critical moment that Marta, holding Gael in her arms, entered the room, her presence immediately altering the dynamics of the conversation. Had heard enough from the hallway to understand that the truth about Gael was now exposed, and her determination to protect her son and clarify her position was palpable. Marta, you are here, Sophia said, surprised but recognizing the importance of Marta's participation in that discussion. Yes, I think it is time for me to speak, Marta responded, her voice firm. Although full of undeniable vulnerability, she addressed everyone, but her eyes were fixed on Guillermo. I did not come here to cause pain or discord. When I met Guillermo, I was a very different person, and he was someone I thought I could trust. Marta began, her raw honesty cutting the silence. Guillermo, facing Marta, and the son they shared seemed to shrink under the weight of his gaze. Marta, I'm sorry, she managed to say, her voice almost a whisper. Apologies don't change the past, Guillermo, but we are here now for Gael. He deserves to know the truth about where he comes from, and he deserves to have a family that loves him regardless of how that family is formed. Marta continued, her defense of her son, touching the hearts of everyone present. Yolanda, moved by Marta's bravery and dignity, intervened. Marta is right regardless of the circumstances. Who led us here? We have a responsibility. Gael, he is innocent in all of this and deserves all our love and support. The matriarch of the Rivera family, always a beacon of strength and wisdom, recognized the opportunity for healing and unity, even in the face of so much adversity. Sophia, observing the interaction between her mother Marta and Guillermo, she felt a complex mix of emotions. Guillermo's betrayal hurt deeply, but the presence of Gael, an innocent man who so unexpectedly brought with him a light of Esperanza. Marta, I don't know what to say except that Gael is now part of our family, and we will do what is necessary to support him, said Sophia, extending a bridge towards reconciliation and mutual understanding. As the conversation progressed, a clear change of direction began to form, marking a new chapter in the complex network of relationships within the Rivera mansion. After hearing Guillermo's confession and Marta Sophia's words, she felt divided between the pain of betrayal and the responsibility that now it fell on their shoulders. I knew that difficult decisions needed to be made, decisions that would define the future of all of them, especially little Gael Sophia. Then he positioned himself with a voice that carried the firmness of his decision. Guillermo, I heard what you said and I saw Marta's effort to protect Gael above all, and that is why I need you to do something for us. Guillermo, noticing the seriousness in Sophia's gaze, leaned forward prepared to listen to what she had to say. I want you to leave of our lives, Guillermo, forever, declared Sophia, each word impregnated with the pain of the decision, but also with the clarity of someone who knows what is the best path to follow. Marta has shown that she can take care of Gael without you, and after everything she has passed, I think it is the best for all of us. Guillermo's reaction was surprise mixed with a sad acceptance, as if a part of him was already expecting that conclusion. Sophia, I understand it was not how I expected things to end, but it is what you think is better for Gael. Then I will respect your decision, Guillermo responded, the resignation in his voice indicating his acceptance of the reality that Sophia had presented. Yolanda, observing the interaction between her daughter and Guillermo, felt a mixture of pride and sadness, pride in Sophia's bravery in making such a decision, difficult on behalf of the family, and sadness for the path that Guillermo had chosen, a path that now took him away from them. I hope you understand that this is not a punishment, Guillermo. It is about protecting what is most important to us, Gael's well-being. Holland added his soft but firm voice, reinforcing Sophia's decision. Marta, who until then was observing the exchange between Sophia and Guillermo, felt a wave of conflicting emotions: gratitude for Sophia defending Gael above all, relief for knowing that her son would be protected from the complexity of adult relationships, and a glimmer of compassion for Guillermo despite everything. Thank you, Sophia and Yolanda. I only want the best for Gael, and I am grateful that you helped me ensure. That's what Marta said, her voice full of emotion. Years passed with tranquility, taking part in the daily routine of the Ribera family. Marta and Gael were in the garden. The morning sun bathed the space with a soft light, making it the perfect moment for teachings and discoveries. Mom, look at this flower, because it is different from the others, Gael asked with innocent curiosity, pointing to a solitary flower that defied the uniformity of the garden. Ah, Gael, that is a flower of fortune. It is special because it found a way to grow where we least expected it. Just like us, Marta explained, smiling, teaching a valuable lesson about resilience and esperanza, emphasizing how they had found their place in the Ribera mansion against all odds. While they were talking, Sophia joined them, bringing with her a book of stories to share. I thought we could read something together. Such the adventures of a little explorer, Sophia suggested. Her smile widened as she saw Gael's enthusiasm. They sat in the shade of an ancient tree, and while Sophia read, their voices they mixed with the sounds of nature, creating a moment of togetherness and learning. You know, Gael, each story teaches us something new, just like every day in this mansion, Sophia said, looking at Marta, silently thanking her for the new harmony they had found. Yolanda, watching them from a window, felt a wave of gratitude and contentment. Later, as they shared lunch, Yolanda expressed her feelings seeing the three of them together, finding joy in the simple pleasures of life. Makes me believe that we did something right. This house was not only a home for us but a sanctuary of new beginnings, Yolanda reflected, her voice charged with emotion. Marta, moved, responded, Yolanda, you gave us more than a home. You gave us a family, a sense of belonging. There are no words to express our gratitude. As the afternoon unfolded, Marta and Sophia spent time planning a small renovation in the garden, a way to contribute to the beauty of the mansion that had welcomed them. Was thinking, maybe we could add more fortune flowers along the path. They would be a beautiful reminder of our journey here, Marta suggested. Excited about the idea of leaving her mark on the mansion, Sophia agreed that would be a wonderful way to tell our story through the seasons, watching those flowers bloom year after year. The day ended with them gathered in the living room, sharing stories and planning for the future. The conversation flowed freely, each expressing dreams and hopes, weaving a tapestry of shared aspirations. We have been through so much together, and there is still so much ahead, but with you by my side I feel like we can face anything, Marta said, holding Gail's hand, and looking at Sophia and Yolanda with a mix of determination and affection was a moment of deep connection, a silent promise of mutual support and a future together no matter what challenges may arise. The serenity of the family lunch was abruptly interrupted when Yolanda, the matriarch of the Rivera family, put his hand on his chest, his expression of joy quickly replaced by one of discomfort. Gael, noticing the immediate change, asked with concern evident in his voice, "Young grandmother, do you feel bad?" The innocence of his question reflected the surprise and concern that everyone at the table. They felt Marta acting quickly. She approached Yolanda, offering her shoulder for support. "Mother, what are you feeling? Let me help you to the sofa," Marta said, trying to hide the concern in her voice so as not to alarm. More to Gael, Yolanda, trying to minimize the situation, tried to smile, but the pain was evident. "I think I just need to rest a little, dear. It's nothing," Yolanda responded. Her weak voice betrayed that of her state. Sophia, realizing that the situation was more serious than Yolanda, she wanted to admit. She took her phone with trembling hands, but with a firm voice. "I'm going to call an ambulance. It's better to be safe." "Mother, you need to be examined by a doctor," Sophia insisted while dialing the emergency number. Meanwhile, Marta kept Gael nearby, trying to distract him from the tension that filled the room by telling him about the flowers we planted together when Grandma was feeling better. When the emergency team arrived, the sound of footsteps and the rapid movement of the professionals filled the house. "We are going to take care of her. You can follow us to the hospital," said one of the paramedics after stabilizing Yolanda and preparing her for the transfer. Gael, holding Marta's hand, looked with big eyes full of tears, seeking to understand what was happening. "What was happening, Mom? Grandma is going to be okay?" she asked, her small voice filled with a mixture of fear and hope. "Yes, my love. The doctors are going to take good care of her," Marta responded, although her heart was tight with the same worry in the hospital while they waited for news. Sophia and Marta sat next to each other in the corridor, a heavy silence between them, each one lost in her thoughts and fears. "She has to be okay." Sophia finally broke the silence, her voice low and trembling. "Marta will be there," she responded, putting an arm around Sophia's shoulders, offering consuelo. "Your mother is one of the strongest women I know. She will overcome this," she added, trying to convince herself as much as Sophia. The doctor's serious expression finally appeared, but not without a spark of optimism. "Yolanda is stable now. She had a mild heart attack, but I managed to treat her in time. She will need rest and observation in the coming days, but the outlook is good," Marta and Sophia explained, relieved. They hugged, tears of relief mixing with renewed determination to care for Yolanda and ensure she had everything she needed for a full recovery. In the hospital room, illuminated by the soft light of the evening, Marta and Sophia sat next to Yolanda's bed, whose countenance carried the serenity of someone who had faced her own mortality head-on. Yolanda, with a still weak but firm voice, broke the silence that filled the room. "My dears, this scare we had was a reminder I will not to be here forever. The reality is that I am getting old, and there will come a day when I will no longer be able to take care of the mansion or of you," Yolanda began, looking into the eyes of Marta and Sophia, seeking in them the strength to face the uncertain future, Sophia holding her hand. She felt tears coming from her mother. The idea of losing her mother was a pain she never imagined having to face. "As soon as Mother doesn't speak like that, she still has many years ahead of her," Sophia interrupted, her voice choked with emotion. "But," Yolanda, with a sad smile, squeezed Sophia's hand, asking her for courage to accept the inevitable. Marta, for her part, felt a whirlwind of emotions and had been more than a benefactor. She had become a mother figure, a friend, and a pillar of strength. "Yolanda, you have taught us both about strength, about family. We promise we will take care of the mansion and Gael, ensuring that his legacy continues," said Marta, the promise loaded with unwavering determination, a vow to honor the life and teachings of Yolanda. Listening to Marta's words, she felt comfort knowing that the Rivera and Gael mansion would be in good hands. It is everything she could wish for. The mansion is not just a house, it is a home, a place of love, memories, and new beginnings. Take good care of it and some of others, Yolanda advised, her voice soft but full of a wisdom that only comes with the years lived. At the end of the visit, with the promises made and the tears dried, Marta and Sophia left Yolanda's room with a new understanding of the weight of the responsibility that they had accepted. They knew that the days to come would be full of challenges, but also opportunities to grow, love, and continue Yolanda's legacy. As they returned to the reception where Gael was waiting for them, they were determined to face the future with the same strength and dignity that Yolanda had shown, ensuring that the Rivera mansion would remain as a beacon of hope and love for future generations while Yolanda remained hospitalized. The uncertainty about the future weighed on Marta, Sophia, and Gael, leaving them in a kind of emotional limbo. They met regularly in the garden of La Mansion Rivera, a place that Yolanda loved and where they felt her presence the strongest, to discuss the next steps while they waited for Yolanda Gael's recovery. Despite being young, she felt the absence of her grandmother. Hospitalized, and in her own way, she contributed to the plan. We can have an even bigger garden with flowers for grandmother. Yolanda will love to see it when she returns, he said. His innocence and love for his grandmother were shown in the anxiety he felt for their return to the Rivera mansion. While they were developing their plans, a call from the hospital abruptly interrupted the meeting. Marta's heart sank when she answered the phone. The silence that followed spoke volumes. As she hung up, Marta turned to Sophia. Her sad expression communicated the news before if a word was said. "The mother is gone," Marta said, her voice almost a whisper, the words cutting the air like a razor. The news of Yolanda's departure fell on them like a veil of sadness, but also of sadness. Determination through tears, young Gael sought comfort in his mother and in Sophia, overwhelmed by a pain that he had not yet experienced in his short life. "I cannot believe that grandmother Yolanda is gone. This way she will not be able to see the garden that we are going to make for her," Marta responded with a sad expression. "My son, your grandmother will see us from wherever she is, and I am sure she will love that beautiful garden that you are thinking about. People leave, but the memories we have of them are kept in our hearts and are not erased if knotted. We allow ourselves to keep Yolanda's memories alive in some way," Sophia added, with her expression conveying the pain she felt and the tears running freely down her face. "She warned us, and now our duty is to fulfill the wishes she had for us. We will work hard for this place and for all the legacy of Mom Yolanda, and I am sure that wherever she is, she will smile and feel proud of the beautiful family that we have become. Now we have a great responsibility, but also a great honor. We will ensure that the Rivera mansion is a symbol of resilience and love, just as Yolanda dreamed of from the beginning," Marta responded, her commitment reflected in her eyes. The three continued talking about initiatives to open the mansion to the community, perhaps through cultural events or educational programs for children, something they knew Yolanda would support when she was little. She said, "We should share our luck with others. This could be a beautiful way to show her how much we have learned from her and everything." "This trip," suggested Sophia, excited with the idea of transforming the pain of loss into something positive and lasting. As the days turned into weeks after Yolanda's departure, Marta, Sophia, and Gael found solace in the routine of La Mansion Ribera, every corner filled with memories of the matriarch. Together, they began to implement the plans they had outlined in the garden, transforming the mansion into a beacon of culture and learning for the community. The first event, a local art exhibition in honor of Yolanda, was a resounding success, bringing new life to the silent halls of the mansion and, most importantly, uniting the community in a way that Yolanda had always dreamed of. Gael, now older and better understanding Yolanda's legacy, took on the responsibility of caring for the garden, especially the Fortune's flower bed that had become a symbol of hope and renewal for everyone in the mansion. Look how they are growing. Mom, Grandma Yolanda would have loved to see this, her enthusiasm and dedication often said. Reflecting the love and values that Yolanda had instilled in him, Sophia in turn found in the mansion not only a home but a purpose. Continued to expand the community programs, each reflecting an aspect of Yolanda's personality and interests. We are keeping the essence alive of Mom, transforming our loss into something beautiful for others, Sophia shared with Marta, her voice full of pride and gratitude for the opportunity to continue Yolanda's legacy of love and generosity. The story of La Mansion Ribera, marked by loss, healing, and a new beginning, she became a source of inspiration for all who knew her. Marta, Sophia, and Gael, united by love and the memory of Yolanda, showed that it is possible to find light even in the darkest moments. La Mansion, once a symbol of status and isolation, it was transformed into a center of togetherness and growth, a testament to the transformative power of love, resilience, and community. And so the story of Yolanda and her family continued not only on the walls of La Mansion Rivera but in the hearts of those who were touched by his generosity, becoming an eternal legacy of hope and renewal. Did you like this incredible story of improvement? We invite you to like the video and comment. What did you think? Your support helps us to continue publishing videos almost daily. See you in the next exciting narrative.